Today, I would like to talk about a crippling affliction affecting 86% of the population. That issue? Artist block and a lack of motivation. So lack of motivation and artist block is a subject that's brought up pretty frequently. I don't feel like I really struggle with this much anymore, and I wanted to talk to you guys about the topic a bit and some of the techniques I use to avoid it. So I think a big key for me personally is having a pretty good idea of my short and long-term goals. Having a clear vision of where you want to take your art, what you want to accomplish, what you want to be able to do with it is going to give you a more direct path on what you need to do to get there, which is usually going to give you more ideas for what you should be doing in the moment. So having some sort of general idea of what your short-term and long-term goals are for art is pretty helpful. I think short and long-term are important because the long-term is going to act as your major objective. You know, where are you trying to go with art? What are you trying to accomplish? But the short-term goals are almost more important. They're going to give you more feasible and attainable things to do right now. If you have some lofty goal for the future, it's easy just to look at that as a vague idea and not really do anything, but just say, oh, one day. But if you have short-term goals that specifically lead up to that long-term goal, it's going to give you actionable things to do today that you can work towards. In addition to that, having those short-term goals is really important because it gives you something that you can see in front of you. You can sort of see a finish line, and if you can have that idea of, hey, I can do that, that becomes really motivating to me. When you actually have a goal in sight that you think you can accomplish pretty soon, it really increases that drive to pursue it, rather than having some idea that's maybe like 5, 6, 7 years down the line that's really vague in general. I also find having a mix between longer, more ambitious pieces I'm working on and quick sketches is really, really helpful. If I'm only working on a really long, ambitious piece, I kind of get burnt out on it a little bit. I kind of get antsy and I want to draw something that's like a quick monster head doodle or some figure sketching or something like that. So when I have a bigger piece that I'm working on that's more long-term and I fit in time for fun little sketches of just random stuff, I feel like that really keeps me balanced and it keeps me from burning out on any one piece. So these long-term goals could be like a career in art that you're shooting for, but I think personal projects are really helpful too. If you're building something that you can get excited about, it really kind of gives you a path to follow and things to work on. And I think having a continuous project to build towards really keeps those ideas going and it keeps that excitement up for me. A lot of times when people tell me they don't really know what to draw or they have a lack of motivation, I usually say, what excites you about art? What pieces do you look at that really make you want to draw and paint? What do you wish you could do right now? I think that's the thing you should be working on, the thing that really drives you and pushes you. Something I do all the time is actively try to put myself into that artistic mood and mindset. If I look on things like ArtStation and Instagram and anywhere there's posting really cool art, it kind of pumps me up to do something cool. You know, if I see an awesome illustration, I want to do an awesome illustration. If I see a really cool painting or drawing, it kind of makes me want to do something like that. It's the same way that if you want to get yourself pumped up to go to the gym, you know, you could probably watch like a YouTube motivational video on going to the gym, and that would kind of get you in that mindset. Or if you're watching people play video games on Twitch or something, a lot of times it makes me want to play that game. So you can kind of actively surround yourself with certain things that are, you know, gonna make you feel like you want to draw and make you feel like you want to paint and conducive to getting into that motivated mindset. Like sometimes I've been planning on playing a video game of some kind and I was kind of getting into that mindset, and then I'll go on ArtStation or something and I'll see some amazing illustration and it gets to the point where I don't even really want to play the game anymore. I just want to jump into Photoshop and start painting something. So I think you have a lot of control over what you surround yourself with and how that affects your mood. Expanding on this, you can kind of do the same thing with going to conventions and workshops, you know, going to actual live events that are art focused, or joining an online art community, doing challenges. All these things kind of put you in a community of people doing the same thing you're doing, and you can feed off that energy, and it really gives you a lot of directions on what you could be doing or what you want to do. If you're really feeling like you're in a rut and it's all kind of mundane and repetitive, trying to mix it up with a new medium is often really helpful. There's been times in the past where I feel like I'm just doing a ton of digital painting and I really want to, dabble with traditional paint or even sculpture. And when I give myself a little time to play around with sculpting or mess around with traditional painting, it really kind of revives my energy for the normal work I typically do. Sometimes just mixing it up with a new medium is all you really need to change things up and kind of refresh you. I mean, and honestly, just make sure you're taking breaks too. If you're working all the time and you're not striking a good healthy balance with what you're doing, that can be a big part of it. Making sure you're getting enough sleep, making sure you're eating decently, making sure you're finding a good balance in your life can definitely lead to burnout if you're not having all that in order. I think a really important subject to talk about is discipline. Motivation can be very fleeting, it can ebb and flow, but discipline is really going to keep you consistent and keep you improving when motivation is waning. There's a quote I like that's, "Inspiration is for amateurs. The rest of us just get to work." It's really important to kind of have that work ethic and discipline, so when your motivation does dip, you can kind of keep the habit going, you can keep your routine going and keep improving. If you really don't know what to draw, just pick something. Find an area in your art that you feel is lacking or that you need to practice more and do a study of that. You could join an art challenge online. You can go on any of your favorite art websites and just look at the art that inspires you most. Just get inspired by that and find something that you really want to pursue. If you see someone doing something amazing in a certain area that resonates with you, work on that, try to get better at your composition, values, or whatever you see that really inspires you. The more you learn, the bigger your visual library is. And the bigger your visual library is, the more you have to pull from. And it really cuts down on that feeling of, I don't know what to draw. So if you want to get into that, expand your visual library. Find a subject like costumes, perhaps of different time periods, different types, creatures and animals. Study these things and get more of a visual library for the shapes, the styles, and everything like that. And I find for me, over the years as I've learned more, it gives me more to pull from and more ideas to generate. And I find myself not knowing what to do a little bit less because of that. Overall, I think it's really important to stay hungry, stay eager to learn new things, and have a vision for where you want to take your art. If you have some sort of vision and goal in mind, it's really going to inform what you're doing now to get there and give you a list of things you can be working on. And of course, I think discipline's super helpful. We all have off days, but discipline's really going to kick in if you have a strong routine with art, a strong habit. It's going to help you out on those days where you may not be feeling it so much. Well, that is it, guys. Those are some things that I've found over the years kind of help me when I'm struggling with motivation or I may not know what to draw. These are the things that kind of bring me back into that creative mindset, and hopefully they were helpful to you.